Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll hear a musical performance from the Gina Powers Band. But first, joining me now, our guest is Greg Power. And Greg, you are the Fisheries Division Chief for the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. Welcome.
Well, glad to be here.
First off, let's tell the folks a little bit about yourself, your background and,
Sure.
and things.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a North Dakota boy. I from Bismarck. I'm back in Bismarck. I spent some time up in Grand Forks, like 7 years worth between going to undergrad and then graduate school. And I spent some time up at Riverdale and Garrison Dam. That's where I started my career. But the better part of my life, I've been in Bismarck.
Okay. Well, let's talk about what does the North Dakota Game and Fish do and manage?
Sure. Well, we're responsible for management of all wildlife out there, all critters, fish and wildlife. So, you know, it's pretty extensive, our hunting and fishing seasons, enforcement. We have different divisions. For me, I'm the fish part of Game and Fish, the Fisheries Division. We manage the fishery resources of the state.
Okay. Well, then that's what we're going to talk about today.
Good.
Is the fishing part of it. You know, how many fishing waters are there in North Dakota?
Well, we actually have a lot by North Dakota standards. Every year is a new record. Currently, we're about 450 fishing waters in the state. That's a substantial increase from back in the 80s, for example. It seems like, well, some perspective, for the last 25 years, we've added 270 water bodies, and that is somewhere a little over 400 square miles of fishing water in North Dakota. So it's quite substantial. In the 80s, when I started, in the early 80s, there were about 150 waters in the state, so we're more than tripled.
So what's contributed to that big change?
Well, the biggest factor is Mother Nature. It started in 1993, like you often hear about weather patterns and, you know, long-term climatic changes, and it certainly, you know, prior to the 93, we had a drought in the late 80s, and that was tough, really tough. You know, it was comparable to the 50s, and our fishing resources kind of dried up. Along came 93, and it started raining, and then the snow, big, you know, runoff events in the spring, and we've had about 25 very, very good years on the fishing landscape throughout the state now.
Well, so drought and wet, you know, you always talk about farmers, too much rain, too little rain. So really, with today's era with dams and things, does that not contribute to controlling some of that?
Well, you know, we've really, in 25 or 30 years in North Dakota, I'd have to think, but we probably have only added 1 or 2 dams. I mean, those days, most of the dams were built in the 30s and especially the 50s. All these new waters out there, especially throughout much of central North Dakota, are wetlands. You know, what used to be duck sloughs have become big natural lakes now. A lot of them are 30 feet deep and, you know, a couple thousand acres in size. So it's had dramatic change with the weather patterns that we've had. And we need, just like a farmer, like you said, we need that runoff and to feed our lakes. So
what are some of the most popular fishing waters in North Dakota?
Sure. You know, that kind of as a percentage, it hasn't changed a lot over the long run, but what we call the big 3 in North Dakota, which is Sakakawea, which is the largest fishing water in the state, Devil's Lake, and then also the Missouri River and Lake Oahe. Those 3 water bodies, year in, year out, are about half the entire fishing effort occur in those 3 waters. So, and you know, and they're big waters. There's somewhere in the neighborhood, you put them all together, somewhere around 700 and some thousand acres of fishable water there.
Well, obviously, you mentioned Sakakawea and Devil's Lake, and I mean, both of them have rising and lowering. I mean, the Devil's Lake has lost so many acres and then gained so many acres back, or vice versa, over the years.
Yeah, you know, Sakakawea and Oahe on the Missouri River, they got big impoundments, Oahe Dam in South Dakota and then Garrison Dam in North Dakota. Their water levels fluctuate annually, and they can fluctuate 20, 30 feet within a year, and that's normal. It's been that way since they were built in the 50s. Devil's Lake, Devil's Lake is kind of I guess, the example we have out there of how our other freshwater lakes have changed. Devil's Lake, prior to the 1993, we were concerned about fish kills, that the lake, what was left of the lake then, was going to die off. Thankfully, in 93, the rains came, the snows came, and you know, that's well over 100,000 acres now, and I think it's something like 70-some miles long from Stump Lake up to Church's Ferry. So tremendous water resource out there. In recent years now, we're starting to trend downward in Devil's Lake, water level-wise, and our prairie lakes also.
So what do people enjoy reeling in the North Dakota waters?
Well, this is a walleye-centric state for sure. It's every survey we do, a preference survey of the public, it's 80, in the 80s, 80-some%. The other two species of real interest in North Dakota are northern pike, which is our state fish, and yellow perch. Yellow perch, especially in the winter, it's kind of a destination fishery, especially for some non-residents, especially from people from the state of Wisconsin, really like the perch. And we see a lot of traffic in the winter for the perch resource out there.
Well, you mentioned Wisconsin. How many non-residents come into the state of North Dakota?
Well, we sell approximately 60,000 non-resident fishing license. Minnesota is the #1 state, followed by Wisconsin. And we've really been trending upward on our non-resident license sales. They like fishing in North Dakota, and every year we see more and more of them. And then we also have about 160,000 licensed North Dakota residents. So all total, we sell about 220,000 fishing licenses annually.
Well, with that said, can you talk about the fish population in North Dakota and how we keep track of all this?
Right. Well, and it doesn't really matter. We don't have a lot of natural reproduction on our walleye. People like walleye, so they're really dependent upon the stocking program. But the other species, pike, perch, most of what's out there is from natural reproduction. And once a lake, sometimes these new lakes that came on board, we had to introduce the fish into there initially. We'd put perch in, for example, just a couple 100 pounds, and they would do their thing and reproduce for a number of years and grow well and produce these real trophy perch fisheries. So we stock a fair amount of different species too, largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, even some muskie, trout, salmon in places. We do some stocking, but for the most part, these fish take care of themselves in these lakes. And then our fisheries crews, they're the ones that go out and sample these lakes. We don't get to, we're, I believe, the smallest fishery division in the nation. So we don't have a lot of staff. So we don't get to every lake, but we get to probably 2/3 of the lakes statewide. And of course, deer to see how the fish populations are doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are there any trends in North Dakota between men and women fishing or fishermen? I hate to say fishermen, fisherwomen.
Anglers.
Anglers, yeah, there you go, thank you.
Well, again, we're probably a little bit further right than most states where we're dominated by males that fish. We're hoping to get more and more women into fishing. We've had some small programs within the department to try to introduce women to fishing. One big demographic change we're seeing in fishing in North Dakota for our residents, it's no different than what we're seeing in Main Street, Fargo, I guess. It's the millennial or the younger people, which was really refreshing. If you go back 10 years ago or so, we were really concerned about the youth, especially in the 20s and young 30s. They just weren't showing up fishing because they really weren't in North Dakota per se. We're losing so many of those people. And the good news is they've come back and they're fishing. So we're seeing a lot of young people starting to participate in fishing. That's wonderful for the long-term, sake of fishing. So.
Mm-hmm. You say 60,000 out-of-state license issued. How much does fishing contribute to North Dakota's economy?
People be surprised sometimes how much it is. We've had every 5 to 10 years we have a survey done by the NDSU Ag Econ people. So they have standardized methodologies, quite extensive survey that they do on fishing and hunting in North Dakota and the economic impacts. And people are surprised that anglers will spend $450 million fishing in North Dakota, and it has a gross business volume all total, with rollover effects and stuff of about $880 million. So people really don't realize it, but there is a lot of money spent when it comes to fishing in our state.
And of course, when we talk fishing, being in North Dakota, can you tell how much ice fishing is done compared to spring and summer?
Sure, yeah. In North Dakota, ice fishing is actually a pretty popular sport. This winter, on a normal year, 25% of our entire fishing effort will be ice fishing. But ice fishing is dictated so much upon access with the snow. Like in the southern half of the state last year, people didn't start fishing until about now because so much snow came early. And then so we need to get people to the ice, and then we got to have good ice thickness to people get around. And But it can be, yeah, ice fishing in North Dakota can be actually pretty substantial.
How about fishing regulations? Where can you find them, and are they easy to follow, and maybe what are some of the important ones to remember?
Sure. As far as where to find them, we have, when you get your fishing license, if you go to a vendor anywhere in the state, there will be a small booklet there that's free of charge. It comes with your fishing license. It's a fishing guide that has all the regulations in that. And nowadays, you know, it seems like 4 out of 5 people are referring to their smartphones. So just go on our website. We have, everything's on our website. Again, that fishing booklet with the regulations. North Dakota is a little bit unique in that we have a, unlike most all other states, we have a 2-year fishing proclamation. So our rules are in place for a 2-year period. And that becomes effective of April 1st of this year. It'll be good for the 2 years. So we're not changing our regulations very often. And our regulations, we like to believe, are pretty simple and straightforward.
So why doesn't it seem North Dakota doesn't have many lake-specific regulations?
Right. Well, you know, one thing that the fishing public have told us, they like it to be simple, straightforward, you know, statewide versus complex and lake-specific. And and that's a perfect world. You know, less regulations are better. Thankfully, in North Dakota, we don't have the fishing pressure that some states have. You know, just some of the lakes in Minnesota, for example, they have tremendous fishing pressure. So the more pressure you have on a fishing lake, oftentimes more you have to have regulations. North Dakota, we have 4 lines in the winter, 2 lines in the summer. We're open 365 days a year. We don't really have closed seasons. We're fairly liberal. And one reason we don't tweak our regulations a lot is because we are North Dakota. We're a prairie state. In prairie states, everything that's evolved out there is wide fluctuations, floods and droughts, highs and lows. There's no such thing as a real average. And if you make regulation changes all the time, about the time people comply, learn about that rule, and comply with that rule, we're doing a 180 on them because Mother Nature's dictated that. So we don't try to, again, we keep them simple. The public, by and large, likes that way. And they've worked out well because we've had them in place, you know, for 50-some years, and we have more fish today than we did 10, 20, 30 years ago. So it's worked out.
You mentioned North Dakota's stocking program. Can you explain a little bit more about that and how that works?
Sure. North Dakota's a little bit different than, I think, maybe there's one other state in the entire union that does not have a state hatchery. North Dakota does not have a state hatchery, but we have a wonderful working relationship with the federal government, the Fish and Wildlife Service. They have 2 federal hatcheries in North Dakota, one at Garrison Dam, which is one of the nation's largest hatcheries, and then a smaller one at Valley City. And Game and Fish, the state, we take all the eggs in the spring of the year, take them to hatcheries. The service raises these fish, and then we, the Game and Fish, the state goes back and stocks the lake. So it's kind of a really cool partnership. And I mean, it's off the charts, the number of species and the production from the hatchery. We're stocking somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 million walleye fingerling in our waters throughout the state. Again, we don't have good natural reproduction for the most part, so we need to stock. And this relationship that we've had since the 60s with the Fish and Wildlife Services worked out for everybody.
Do you see any of that changing, or are any rules changing at the federal level that could affect anything like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's always, that's always up and down. And right now, it's, again, in the short term, no. Long-term priorities change, but short-term, we've got a really good relationship. We actually pay the federal government to raise the fish from the state, which is a little bit different. Usually, it's the federal government giving the states money. It's not that way here, but it's worked out wonderful.
Well, you hear a lot in the news about aquatic nuisance species, or AIS, I guess. Is that a big deal in North Dakota or not?
Well, it's getting to be a big deal everywhere. It has to be. The concerns with ANS, you know, North Dakota we call it ANS. Other states call it invasive species, so it's AIS. But it's you know, the concerns with zebra mussel, that's a poster child probably of any ANS out there. They're real, and we want, you know, our approach to ANS is there's so many question marks. So what happens if zebra mussel get into Devil's Lake? So what happens if they get into Secaucus? We'd rather never know what will happen. So prevention is everything: information, education. I don't know why. We're living the good life, but North Dakota, compared to these other states, our problems are minimal. We have zebra mussel in the Red River, and that's the only place we have them in the state. And we have a few plant species that are considered ANS that really aren't causing any biological problem to date. Every year we go out and we look at more and more lakes. We do a lot of monitoring, and they keep coming back clean. And I guess that's a good problem compared to elsewhere. But I mean, there's rules in place. And if you're going to fish, move water. Specifically, move water. Be aware of what you can and can't do.
Okay. You know, outside of what you're talking about there, what are some of the biggest threats to fishing in North Dakota in the future, do you think?
Yeah, it's ANS, you know, long term is going to be, it's not going to go away, so it's always a threat. The biggest one in North Dakota is not a lot you can do about it is water management. Again, we live by these floods and droughts, and we really could use some. We could lean to the flooding into things right now. We need a little bit of water in a lot of lakes in the state, but water management, again, your hands are pretty much tied what you can do there. Another concern we've had off and on over the years, you know, a lot of people like to fish, and the reason they fish is for relaxation. And we realize that. It's a wonderful thing. It should be stress-free, or as stress-free as you can make it. But at the same time, we also would like to have a new generation of leadership coming up, of people concerned about conservation of our aquatic resources out there too. And sometimes we just don't see that. You know, a lot of the meetings we hold across the state, some of them are mandatory meetings, and the average age in that room is 70 plus. So we'd like to see more engagement with the younger generations in some of these issues.
And what are some of the things we can do to help fishing? I mean, is it a lot of common sense? I mean, I think it is. A lot, you know, as far as transferring anything from water to water.
Good, very good question, and it's really pretty simple. It's just read the regulations. There's things you can and can't do, but for example, the biggest thing, and it's just a relatively new rule that's been in place for about 3 years now, is you got to pull your plug from your boat when you leave a water body. I mean, that seems pretty simple and straightforward, and how can people argue about that? But when that rule went in place, they did argue. A few argued, and they're still being written up on that simple compliance there. And those type of small steps can go a long way, you know, ensuring that we can preserve what we have out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, Greg, we're running out of time today. If people want more information, where's the best place for them to go?
Get on our website. I mean, our website's splashed everywhere. We have a Facebook page now, North Dakota Game and Fish, and you'll find and hit the fishing tab, and you'll find about everything you need to know about fishing in our state.
Thanks for joining us today.
Bet.
Stay tuned for more. The Gina Powers Band from the Fargo-Moorhead area has all the markings of a fun-loving group of musicians that long to play country music for anyone who will listen. And this terrific blend of talent will delve into a little classic rock and folk at times.
Mama says it's the end of the month, coming to the end of the line, and look around here, we got chicken pot pie. So I read the up 7 times in about 39 minutes. We'll all be ready to dine. Chicken pot pie, chicken pot pie, 2 for 99. My oh my, that's a real good buy. Got the babysitter sitting on the couch, yelling at the kids, saying, hey, no, don't you be so loud. Little birds outside, I watch them fly. floating in a gravy bowl with pie crust on it, feeds my soul. So if they shut off the cable, we won't die. Just grab the kids and tell them for supper we're having chicken pot pie. 'Cause it makes me feel just fine. Remember really good times with really good people eating chicken pot pie. Chicken pot pie, chicken pot pie. 2 for 99, my oh my, that's a real good buy. Chicken pot pie, chicken pot pie. 2 for 99, my oh my, that's a real good buy. Chicken pot pie, chicken pot pie. 2 for 99, my oh my, that's a real good buy.
My name is Gina Powers, and I've been playing music since 1972 when I heard Last Night in the Pips doing Midnight Train to Georgia, and I knew it's just something I had to do for my life. So today, playing as the Gina Powers Band, of course, is myself with lead vocals and acoustic guitar. My husband, James Singer, on acoustic guitar and vocals as well. He's also one of the songwriters. Nathan Pitcher, who is playing mandolin and lead acoustic guitar, also doing backup vocals. Mitchell Rittenbach, who is playing bass guitar, and we have Eli Davis on percussion. People will ask, what is your genre? And it's hard to pinpoint us because we have more of a sound than a genre specific, and our sound we call grill and chill, just because we think it's the kind of music that you want to put on when you want to feel good. And just personally, as Gina Powers, my mission is to put good things into the world. This band is a way to do that.
Early in the morning, round the break of dawn, get myself up and I put the coffee on, and I check on my strings in case I need new ones. Couple left unstrung, and there's nothing like new strings putting on new wings, coming to me a big day. Walking down these old streets, I strum a favorite tune. People smile and tap their feet to the beat, and it got me thinking of you. And now check on my strings, case I need new ones. Couple left unstrung, and there's nothing like new strings putting on new wings, coming to me a big day. You made me think about it.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Pulse for this week. But as always, thanks for watching.
Funding provided by the North Dakota Council on the Arts and by the members of Prairie Public.